أهلا وسهلا بالجميع. And hi everybody, welcome to Psychic Militancy. I'm here with my sister and comrade Nora again. Everybody still loves Nora. We're back at it. Before I embarrass her some more, please like, share, subscribe, send to a comrade, tell folks that Nora is going to sing a song and that we have a surprise comrade joining us to do that. She's not going to be alone in this
Thank
today.
God.
But this is one of our, Sina said that this is a spinoff of Tanky Group Therapy, which I thought was a hysterical way.
It is. There are like a couple spinoffs now. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's
Great.
shout out the other. What are the other spinoffs?
There's Adnan's show.
Yeah.
And Millennials sometimes feels like a spinoff every once in a while. I love that.
Yeah, we do crossovers. Exactly. We come on and do this. But as I told you all before, this is going to be a mini series that we have on this show. And so from now on, I think it's just going to stay everybody still. Like we can't say like still. I should add a still every single time. Just to count
like the 30-second power. Yeah.
Exactly. How many times we can say this. But folks are excited. I'm excited. In addition to our little rendition later, we have a lot to talk about because shit's happening in the world. And believe it or not, in addition to just loving Nora, she's somebody that I look up to and admire and look to for analysis and grounding in what's happening in the world and how to stay focused and how to stay in connection and in relation despite all the stuff in the world. So let's just start there. How are you? What's on your mind? Where do we start today?
Good Lord. I mean, I feel exactly the same way about you, Habibti. It's I feel like it's just a great gift, not just, in my life personally, but I think to the movement to have you and your analysis and your ability to create this grounding for all of us who are really going through it, in various different ways. Trying to not unravel and not, and we'll talk a little bit more about this, but like not despair and not give up in the face of just the, compounding calamities that are happening to our loved ones and comrades and the people that we care about in West Asia and around the world, and here, in the belly of the beast as well. It's just, there's so much and it feels so overwhelming. And so I'm just always so grateful for you, lifting up each other and really getting to the core of why we do this work, why we still believe in revolutionary optimism and revolutionary politics and the power of people to overcome these like just deranged circumstances that they are put in by the most deranged empire known to humanity. So thank you.
I couldn't have said it better. And this is part of it. No, this is really part of it. And I just saw Jay is in the chat, and I was just going to say that I think this is part of when Jay sort of would first have me on. One of the things he and I would always talk about is like how important it was to have these public facing conversations with comrades. And what's important for me is that, part of the deranged empire and the sort of mechanics of it and there's our comrade Adnan as well. So all the comrades are here to hear you sing.
God.
Yeah. But part of it is like it's meant to make us feel isolated. It's meant to make us feel atomized. It's meant to make us feel small. It's meant to make us feel like there's so much more of them. And that's not to detract from the violence. We always say this is like, what does it mean to both hold the magnitude of the violence and then also say, in defiance of all of that, we come together around an aligned politics. We come together in an aligned commitment to the world that doesn't have to be this way, that it is actually constructed and mobilized in this way to exact the impact the violence of this machinery, right? Whether it's the Epstein class that Adnan's show sort of uplifts constantly and is trying to analyze that, or all the shows across our little universe
Yeah.
of leftist comrades. But this feels really enlivening and nourishing to have these conversations and to commit to that outwardly, because what part of the politics is to say, what does it mean to struggle through things as a result of these constructs and the violent machinery of empire and capitalism, and then say, what do we need to do to continue to forge a different path anyway? Right. So for me, having you on and engaging in a love fest publicly is part of that.
Thank you. I feel very honored, to be able to do this with you and with all of our comrades, and it is. I think part of it too, and we were texting about this earlier, is that being emotionally vulnerable and honest in these kinds of fora is also part of breaking that alienation, because capitalism demands that we all feel our feelings in silence, or there's a taboo around seeking help or nourishment from comrades, from even articulating that we need therapy in various forms to help process this absolutely horrific world. I mean, it comes out in so many ways for me still, 2.5 years into this genocide. Many of I used to talk about this a lot on our Tanky group therapy sessions, but it was really, really hard for me to actually break down and cry over the first 2 years or so of the genocide. I kept it all in. I kind of stuffed it all down. Anyone who knows me personally very well knows that I'm really good at just kind of compressing everything inside, because I have to do this job, and then it kind of comes out in all of these ways. And sometimes I don't even realize how it reveals itself. So I was telling a dear friend the other day, I guess it was right after the live stream on Thursday, for example. I was telling her about how there's this one moment which has been repeated over and over to the countless times over the last 2.5 years, of a boy who's the same age as my son, 10 or 11 years old, and he was just in shock over he was looking at the body of his brother, who was just killed by an Israeli attack in Gaza, and he's just unsure of what to do with his body, and he's looking to the adults for comfort, and he's just unable to speak. And just the look in his eyes, this is a look that again is very recognizable to those of us who have seen this genocide live streamed for fucking 2.5 years. And, for anyone who's ever paid any attention to Palestine or Lebanon or, Iraq or Iran, anywhere over the last few decades. But that look, there was just something about it that when I was reading the news and presenting this just little 20-second video clip of this boy, there was something inside my body that it felt like it was fighting to come out and be decompressed. And so afterwards, I kind of just sat in silence for a while after the show was done. And then and later on in the afternoon, when I was just, I was picking up my kid from school and prepping dinner, doing whatever, answering emails, all of a sudden I had a full on panic attack. My heart started beating super fast. I felt like My ears started ringing. It's the kind of those classic symptoms. And I'm like, oh, there it is. Like it was a delayed response. And I experienced it, and luckily I have some fantastic pharmaceuticals at my disposal, and I was able to really not let it get any worse, or I sat down, I did all the things I'm supposed to do, drink a glass of water, all the things, but it just kind of reminded me that, like, this is how it comes up for me. It's different for so many people. And we all have to figure out the ways that we can, like, uncompress these moments of just such debilitating emotional pain and empathy that we feel for, especially for children and for parents. But that we also have to keep talking about it. It's not, no one wins a medal for suppressing or repressing or alienating themselves. No one's winning any medals for saying that they, don't have emotional reactions to things, or that they, don't need therapy, or, like, we all are feeling these just enormous emotions and pangs of grief and rage. And so it's always interesting to kind of like take a bird's eye view of like what your own body does in terms of processing the amount of just like unmitigated horror that we are subjected to witness on, that's happening to people as we speak. So anyway, that's kind of what came up for me this week. It's really, I don't know. It's interesting to see how it happens.
Of course. And that's, I think, part of the political commitment that we have to being honest about that, to surveying that, to, you more than anyone know that I'm kind of obsessed with like reading affect states and reading the ways in which they get implanted in us and mobilized in us.
Yeah.
And managed. Like, it's not about thinking about whether or not they're wrong. And I think it's for us to register when affect states swell up in us, and move away from the prescriptions that are given to us, because those prescriptions are never neutral. They're never innocent. And that's the piece that interests me. Like, on the one hand, I think I've said this before during Tanky Group Therapy. And I think one of the first times I was invited on to be like, what does it mean to live in a world in which a genocide can happen, and to commit to being seared by that and never being the same? I think there's a duty, a wajib in Arabic. There's a duty for us to be changed by that. And if the searing process is what changes us, then that's what we need to commit to. And then there's the other side of what does it mean to then be stuck in that, right? And I think that's the prescriptive parts of affect that for me feels like there's something else happening, obviously, behind it, what gets mobilized. None of these affect states in and of themselves are bad, right? And I think this is the part that I really want to be clear on, is that, or that somehow we don't have them, like somehow they're just all implants. No, there's such a thing as sadness. There's such a thing as despair. There's such a thing as worry. These things are the organic parts of our being, because we are social relational beings, and everything is mediated through social relations. We're going to have that. What I'm always interested in is wondering, why is this being mobilized in this moment? What does it shore up? And what does it stabilize? And then for me, the other step is, and what does that distract from? Like, what part of the political project am I being seduced into through this affect, right? Because of course we're going to feel, horrified at what we're seeing, because we should. Can we understand that as symptomatic of a larger structure that created the conditions for that little boy to have to witness his brother be murdered? right? Rather than the sort of, now I'm stuck in this, I don't know, that's the commodified despair piece. Like, I don't know what to do with this because it's so overwhelming, is to understand also the other piece is what has happened and what have we been doing and being seduced into, that this might be the first moment that we register this at this level, when there has been people who live in this world who have always lived in this world constantly. And you said sort of what's happening here as well. I think we see the same thing with these, ICE death squads and the raids and the sort of, attacks on Cuba and all. This is what empire does. And so rather than sort of collapse in shame, is to be like, what part of the larger structure have I been kind of woven into? And our relational space becomes sort of caught up in. And are there ways we can disrupt that? For me, that there's nothing unconscious about that. And that's part of what you're actually saying too, is like, you take time to reflect on this. Like, that panic attack almost like bursts through every version of this is an unconscious process. This is just happening, and goes, feel this fucking symptom. I'm going to make you feel me. I'm going to make you lose your breath right now, because will that stop you? And I think because of your political commitments, and that's the piece here, it's because of your revolutionary political commitments that you can read that a different way. Like, a different texture of this symptom is available to you because of your revolutionary politics.
I love what you say about commodifying despair. And I think, I mean, that's how empire sells it back to us. It's like, this is, and kind of ingrains in us that, yes, it is this like very overwhelming, paralyzing sort of state that the empire puts us in. Like, we get to experience, kind of, this like tertiary pain, suffering, grief, oppression, occupation, theft of land. Like, we are the like witnesses of it, and there's nothing we can do about it. So we, should just kind of all collapse and just give up. And that is how it is sold. And it's so, and I, maybe we can segue into this, but like, this is kind of what I wanted to like pick your brain about too, and kind of maybe do like a real-time modeling of how to break that cycle. Because even me, I was in Ireland a couple weeks ago. It was the most just brilliant time. I had a week in Ireland. I was with all of these revolutionary comrades, these people who have been fighting for not just decades themselves, but 800 years against English colonialism and theft of land. And there's so many parallels between the struggle for Irish liberation and the struggle for Palestinian liberation. And it was just like this incredible conference that I was a part of. And in this kind of panel that myself and Frank McGuinness, who I'm just like completely in awe of, we were talking to the conference attendees on this panel about different things relating to Palestinian resistance and Palestinian struggle and the so-called Board of Peace, and like all of these like just complete like insane things that the empire is subjecting Palestinians to. And I was talking about how it's so important for us to feel all of these things, the grief, the pain, the anger, the frustration, and not let it consume us, not let it break us apart, not let us burn us out, because it's so important that we need each other. We need, this is a long struggle. This is not going to be an easy win. We are going to win. Palestinians are going to win their own liberation. They are fighting their own liberation. They will win their own liberation. We know all of the signs of a crumbling empire, and they're happening as we speak. And we can take solace in that as we are also feeling all of these, overwhelming emotions. And so, I feel like I was doing some, kind of like a pep talk, like don't despair, don't let despair in the door, like, really, be with your comrades, lean on each other, ask for help, be honest, And then last week, I'm home and all of this shit is happening, and little girls are being hunted by Israelis in Lebanon, and the complete obliteration of entire villages in the south, and all of these just massacres one after the next in Gaza, and Trump again threatening the end of civilization in Iran, and there's a part of me where I was like, oh fuck, we're not going to win. Like I could feel that. I could hear the little voice in my head, like,
Nora, where did you feel it? This is part of the.
That's a
where
good
does it
question.
Feel it?
I think I feel it in my gut. I feel it in, and then of course, like, it affects my appetite. So I stop eating that much. This is like my pattern where I feel literally sick to my stomach, and I stop taking care of myself, and these little voices like, oh God, oh God, they're really going to take South Lebanon. There's going to be Israeli flags, in Bint Jbeil. There's going to be, like all it's so easy to fall into that trap, and I get it. And even me intellectually, I know that is a trap, and that is despair being commodified and sold back to me. I know intellectually, and sometimes I still feel it. And I have my modes. I talk to you, I talk to other comrades, I talk to my therapist, my therapist that I actually pay. I read Basil al-Araj's 8 rules, in which he says, do not let, the empire, the colonizers dictate the terms. Do not give them an inch of your, what is it, of your surrender, or whatever it is, like, I know all these things, and I can pull myself out of it. And yet it is so tempting. It's like Frodo and the One Ring, where he's like, he wants to just like reach out and grab it. And it takes everything in his power to not let that feeling completely consume him. And so I want to, I don't know, like, do like a real-time exercise of like, how do we as comrades, as revolutionary optimists, why is it so easy sometimes to slip into despair, even when we know intellectually that we should not be doing this? And B, how do we pull ourselves out?
Yay! No, you're talking my love language. This is like literally why I felt such an urgency to write the book. I was like, I need to document this shit. Well, number one is like, this is it's a logic that I hear over and over and over again. So number one, it's also like what you are saying is again reinscribing that somehow we're like alone in this feeling. And I think that's part of the reason why it feels so overwhelming. And yet, if we think about it as a logic that repeats because violence is what makes it repeat, that's number one. It sounds so small, but like these are the things that we need to get in the habit of doing as a political project and commitment. Because part of what you're also saying is that you're immediately telling us this is you are conscious of this. This is not it doesn't happen in the background. It doesn't happen. I mean, it can, parts of it can. I'm not sort of saying that the layers of it don't, but there is something very conscious about it. So to me, there's also a way in which, how do we imagine that something this conscious, this sort of overwhelming and pressing down on us can happen in that way, and our response is not going to be it has to be equally committed and disciplined and committed to every day. So I think there's another piece of that, is part of what I hear from folks over and over again, is that there's that feeling of despair, and oftentimes it's not that fucks them up, because people who have political commitments to Palestine, let's say, can register why they're feeling that, because I'm seeing a fucking little girl being chased by a drone and I can't believe this is the world we live in, right? It's that little actual micro step in between where people go, what? How am I here again? Why am I failing my political commitments to the world? I'm feeling despairing. It's that piece that I think scrambles people, and correct me if I'm wrong about your personal, but I hear this over and over again, and that's the micro moment that might be more unconscious, is like, that's the piece that is then mobilized to that commodified despair, because there's a way in which then we start to doubt our own political, like, if I'm feeling this, if I'm doing this, they're going to take over. And then that mobilizes an entire infrastructure that has been built over time by these larger structures that is meant to actually go in motion. You don't have to do very much to make it go in motion, right? So that sort of disruption in real time feels so important to be like, to catch it. But that happens when you practice doing it, when there's a way in which you trace and contour precisely why that micro moment happens, because it's also a deflection. Because in those moments where then we're pulled into being like, how the fuck can I be doing this? And why can I believe that? We're totally taken away and deflected from all the other stuff. Because let's sort of follow the line of thinking. Let's say, okay, we think that Israelis are going to take Beit Jbeil. Number one, let me say this in Arabic. فشروا كسروا إيديكم واحد إذا أخذتوها لبنت جبال ما راح تاخدوها بكل حياتكم ما راح تاخدوها. Okay, so let me just say that and get it off. But let's even go down that route. It's like, and then there will be fucking resistance that is just and even more fierce against it. So I think it's also the totalizing aspect of that feels so overwhelming, because if that is the condition that happens, because you're backed by a fucking, the biggest and most cruel empire in the world, not because of your prowess or anything else. All the other associations that happen are what causes despair. Because if that is a moment in time, that is a fucking moment in time. And what does it mean to have a counterforce against that? And that's the things for us to reach to, is like, let's say that happens. Okay, what does that mean? What do we know historically happens when shit like that happens? When oppressors force themselves as intruders into spaces, what is the rule, if we're taking about Bassel al-Araj, about what happens as a counterforce to that? And our inability to hold on to that, right, and instead get deflected into the other space is what is telling for us. That's the lesson for us to constantly go back to. That takes repetition. So also in the moments of feeling like, oh, I should know this by now, or I should, not be back here. Any one of those things that we're hearing is just like, why? Because violence is back here. Because violence is doing that again. Because it's trying over and over and over every single day. It's not a half-assed project, right? Like every single day, this fucking machinery has to work every single day. It doesn't get to go on autopilot. It wants to pretend it's on fucking autopilot. But every single day you are pumping shit into the world. You have to do your stupid little messaging that feels absurd to all of us. You have to galvanize your machinery that you've plundered the earth for and continue to do that. You have to tank the entire world economy because of how desperate you are. That is not a small thing. So again, for us to, in the face of all that, to have to repeat even the most simple things feels like a really small ask, actually. And to remind ourselves of that, and not to sort of be like, what the fuck is wrong with me? I have revolutionary commitments. I'm still feeling this. It's just like, no, of course you are, because that is actually part of the process. And that's what it means to struggle. right? Like we are committed to a struggle. We're not, and that's, I think, part of it, to continuously come back to that. If we are struggling, is because the struggle is at the heart of what we need to be doing, right? And that's our guide. That's the struggle.
And it's not like a static process. Oh, I'm a revolutionary. Like I've done all the things.
I'm here.
Right, exactly. Now what? Right? Like, no, it is constantly reaffirming, relearning, rearticulating these. I love how did you put it? The micro steps in between these feelings or these steps. Intellectually and emotionally. And I think that's so important. And thank you for that. I mean, I think that's also part of it too, is like how I just told people halfway around the world not to despair. Like, how am I now like allowing these disgusting Zionist motherfuckers to even implant the idea in my head that we won't win. And that, I think I mean, the obvious like emotion for me when that happens is total humiliation. I'm like, oh my God, like, what is wrong with me? But then also like, but I think practicing like, okay, I acknowledge you know, dark, horrible feeling of despair. I see your presence. You can go sit in the corner while I go talk to my friend Lara or read her book or like read Basel al-Araj's manifesto or read the work of Fanon, you know, who talked about, you know, the fact that counter-colonial struggle is not a one-day operation. This is a long and tumultuous process. And we have to be here, you know, until and after the end to help put it together.
Yes. Can I also offer something? You said something that's really important that I think is good for us in this like in vivo exercise together. You said, I'm letting them. You're not letting them do anything, Habibti. If we think about Zionism, imperialism, all these things as expansionist projects, their sole purpose, if we go back to Fanon also, is to ensure the longevity, and expansionism into our psyche is part of that. That is their, like in Arabic, we say, don't blame the wolf for being a wolf. I'm not saying blame them for all the fucking violence, but the point is know your enemy. Like that's what that means. Know your enemy, know how they work. And you are not letting this, that is their actual project, right? Now, our counterforce to that is to understand that is the project. When I'm feeling this, it's for me to register. This is the fucking project. This is not an anomaly. It's not accidental. It's not because I haven't taken my vitamins today. It's not because it's just like, oh, that is a political project, which means I have to engage in a political project. Like for me, that's the thing, is this is why it's a political demand of us. It's a wajib. In Arabic, when we say wajib, that's not just like a social nicety. It's a political project of wajib in terms of what we owe to the world, particularly the world that we're trying to build and bring into being. And that is not a side project. That's every single day you engage in shit against the grain of what is being told to you. The thing that helps me also is a constant reminder, all the shit that I'm worried about, this seems small, and it might also like run as CBT. I'm not doing a CBT shit, folks. Like, but there's something really important about like a truth telling. This is like a material truth telling. Like that shit hasn't happened yet. We're being told to buy into a history that hasn't been written yet. And there are actual material consequences to that. That's not just I'm just getting wrapped up in something that hasn't unfolded yet. There's actual material consequences. Because if we go back again to Basel al-Araj or all that, is like when you seed psychic space of possibilities, you make them materially possible too. So for me, like blocking off any possibilities of all of that feels important, not because we won't slip sometimes and feel that, but to recognize, oh, what is actually being like worked on here, and who is doing that working? What is it shore? That's what I mean about like, what does it shore up?
Yeah.
Who does it shore up? Because that shit actually hasn't happened yet. Vintage bed has not been taken. Right. And every single fucking day I can wake up and be like, it hasn't been taken. And you know why it hasn't been taken? Because there are people putting up a fucking fierce fight.
That's right.
The boys of that land are being like, guess what, motherfuckers? This is not coming down easily. You can try it, and you're intruders, and that's your job because you're intruders. And this is the only way that you actually make your power relevant, because you have to enact that power to have power actually be something.
Right.
But like, that's not going to happen without a fight.
Right. And look how they're fighting too. They are not just, you know, destroying the tanks and beating them, you know, with these like tiny little drones that are that have spools of fiber optic, you know, cable on them, evading, you know, any sort of like
precisely.
It's just amazing. But they're also destroying that psychic you know, demand that the Israelis have put on themselves.
Yes.
That they are there to win, and that they are winning, and there's no way around it. That they are, you know, that this kind of like assumption that their enormous Merkava tanks and these APCs and these like, you know, D9 bulldozers and their enormous, you know, tranche of these like disgusting vehicles and weapons, that you know, they want to think that they are impenetrable, that they are indefeatable, and yet with these little tiny drones that, you know,
guess what?
Exactly. So it goes to it not just destroys the physical machinery of the colonial, you know, death squads, but it also destroys their psychic ability to feel like they are winning. So so that's
exactly, and that hits at the heart of the colonial machinery. Now you have said the magic word, Nora, and our surprise comrade is here to respond to the magic word.
FPV.
Yes.
Yay!
Hey everyone.
Hi, Mikey.
Hey, Mikey.
Hey.
I mean, it couldn't have been more perfect, right? It wasn't even planned.
That was a good segue. No, not at all.
Perfect segue. Totally scripted.
It's amazing. Yes. Okay, I need to give you. How do I do this? Now you know this.
I think I can just request screen sharing with you. Let's see. Yeah.
No.
How's that? Can you see it?
Yep.
I might have to share.
There you go. Right.
Too.
Perfect.
Yes. So just here's part of my therapeutic process. Let's see. Let's see. I just want to make sure that I'm sharing the audio as well. Yes. Yep. Okay. Can you hear this?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Full screen it.
Yes. So it's been so much therapy lately. It's actually kind of hard to keep track of like what's new. Sometimes I won't even click on a video because I think it's like an old video, and no, it's just like 3 operations in a single day, right? Yeah. This was from a few days ago, and it's to me pure cinema. Like you can see rockets, Hezbollah rockets landing in the background as this FPV is searching for a target, and then of course it hits home.
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah, and I love how they always helpfully do the DJ wind that back replay. It's great. Let's see. Here's another one from today.
As John would say, these are remarkable operations.
Yeah, they truly are. Oh man! Oh yeah. And so
all of us need to join in with Ayala.
So this is an IOF soldier trying to jump out of a tank, only for the FPV to immediately retarget his ass, like literally. It's so beautiful. I haven't seen something like this cathartic since the drone. No, actually, it was a ATGM, I think. One of those kind of like missiles that also have a camera on it that I think are also guided by wire. But it was, I think, a couple of years ago, and I think it was in one of the northern settlements or one of the southern Lebanon encampments. And this guy just kind of like walks out. I think he's even like on his phone, like he has no awareness of what's going on. And then you can just see the POV of the missile just like flying directly into his dick before the signal cuts out. And it was I watched that so many times.
Are you playing it yet?
I couldn't find that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. Yeah. So, and here's one more from today.
Okay, let's see, because it's still a still from the other one. I don't know if you have to go out and then come back.
Let's see. Share this tab instead. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
Oh, did we miss the other one?
I think so.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, okay.
If you did a second one, we didn't see that one.
Okay, yeah. Oh, we got to see that one then. Yeah. This one is this one's also great though.
This one is from today.
Also from
Wow.
I believe unless I picked the wrong one. Let's see.
Yes,
this is from today. Yeah. And this is very reminiscent of kind of the Russia-Ukraine proxy war. But I'll get into why I don't believe that we're going to see similar results from both sides. I don't think this is going to be symmetrical at all. Okay, here's...
We're still seeing
wait,
this still.
Oh, yeah, share this tab instead. I got it.
There we go.
There we go. There we go. Okay.
Whoop.
Yeah.
Whoop.
One more time. So good.
It just like turns course right as he jumps out. Whoop.
You can even see him like mid leap. There's almost like you can almost hear the record scratch, being like, I wonder if you're wondering how I got to this point. We want that. I'll look for it.
Oh God.
But yeah, hopefully I can find it before the end of the stream. But yeah, I think that has been deeply, deeply satisfying for me. And I think more than just catharsis, I think it is, a really potent and constant reminder that the resistance still exists, for one, and is prevailing on their terms, which is asymmetric warfare. And this is why I think people have been making kind of one-to-one comparisons with the special military operation that Russia has been conducting in eastern Ukraine. And and this situation is where FPV warfare, this fiber optic cable guided drone warfare has been decimating people on both sides. The reason I don't think it's a one-to-one comparison here is because one, I think like just like the United States, I think the IOF is pretty slow to adapt because they have their own military industrial complex that necessitates kind of perpetuating stubbornly old strategies that don't work and old types of hardware and military strategy that correspond to that hardware. And either way, like their mission is different, right? Like their operations are about sacking, demolishing, and then colonizing territory, which requires a lot of construction, hardware and military hardware, which includes lots of Nammer troop carriers and Merkava tanks. And those tanks have to be guarded, they have to be occupied, and those are situations where the IOF are basically sitting ducks for that entire period of time. And while we have seen successful drone attacks against Hezbollah, Mujahideen, we see them much more rarely, I think, in part because their entire strategy is a guerrilla warfare strategy in which the whole point is to stay hidden, right? And the only times that they've been martyred is when they're caught moving from building to building or bird's nest to tunnel. They're basically in transit, and we've seen just as much drone attacks, IOF drone attacks against civilian, people who just happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, even though they're intentionally just target bombing, innocent people, and not that, resistance fighters aren't innocent, but total non-combatants. It's indiscriminate, and there's no strategy to it, right?
Right.
So I think that's why we're going to see like a lot more of this coming from Lebanon, especially as like Hezbollah has really kind of like jumped the learning curve in a really impressive way, where you can see the progress and skill of these pilots increasing in real time. And I think the more that this aggressive operation intensifies, we're probably gonna continue to see like several videos coming out a day, and it is talk about countermeasures on the psychological warfare field. It's decimating the psychological well-being of well, first for troop morale, but also for the Israeli settler population, particularly the settler population in the north, because now we're seeing just this morning also we've seen Hezbollah drone FPV attacks into the north.
Wow, I didn't see that yet. Wow.
Yeah, several casualties reported already. So even the settlers are not safe from these fiber optic cable guided drones, and so it's really reassuring. And I think I've mentioned this a lot in other streams and definitely online. I can't stop harping on it because I think it's really important. We have a lot of recency bias where I think there's a lot of forgivable types of approaching despair from comrades of ours, even because so much bad shit happened, particularly in 2024 and 2025, right, where there were not just targeted assassinations of top leadership, but like massive bombing campaigns that destroyed a significant portion of all top level or huge amount of top level Hezbollah leadership and Hezbollah's significant headquarters, military headquarters, right? And so and then after Yahya Sinwar was martyred, there was this period of seeming to some people it felt like the resistance axis was done and but not to toot my own horn, but
toot it.
Is why you're here, Mikey.
That's
is
right.
why you're here.
I insisted that this is part of any revolution, right? Like, look at how long Trump never stops to remind us how long the Vietnam War was, right?
Oh my God.
Which is so funny to me that he does
he
that.
really forgets how it ended too. It's pretty interesting. I love that.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, these guys confess all the time. Listen, I want to do something actually in real time. So, Mikey, you saw the exercise that Nora and I were doing like in real time, and I feel like part of why Adnan just said we went from psychic militancy to military, but I think Mikey's approach is representative of me of psychic militancy, because you never shy from this truth-telling exercise. Like, you don't reality bend. And there's a way in which affectively, I kind of just want to, like, even when people are supportive of the resistance, there's a lot of people that I hear from that are afraid to come online and just be like, I like watching this and here are the reasons why I'm doing it. And you always do, you come on and you say, this is a thing, this feels good to watch. And I want folks, so I just want to kind of say this part is that's the piece that I mean about the associative processes that happen, is like in real time, hi kitty cat, in real time, we are meant to disavow that these are genocidal soldier intruders that we are watching. These FPV drones are meant to bring us in and invite us in and then expand. Like, this is a fight for that's what I feel like Hezbollah is also doing, is this is a fight for everybody. Let us bring you in to this fight. You join us in seeing what this looks like. But part of the colonial machinery is to make you falter sometimes in real time, to be like, okay, like to either like have an allergic reaction or be like, oh, this is a death or whatever. But what that does is transform the terrain and make those people not be that you are asked to actually humanize them in a way in which their armored existence as invaders is telling on themselves about what they actually are, versus the indigenous people who are waging a fight for their land, a resistance that is theirs, that is their right. I feel like you do that all the time as you come back to this, what I'm saying, like you resist the reality bending that we're invited into. And I think Nora does too. So I'd love to hear, like, how do you work against that shit, like that machine? Now, part of it is a practice. I feel like it's practice to be like, no, this is why we're watching it. This should be normalized. We need to normalize this shit. But I'd love to hear like specifics from the both of you. And like, and if you weave that into your analysis, like take it away. This is why you're on here to toot your horn and sort of talk about it. But it feels really important because I think people do struggle with that.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the most rigorous kind of miseducation and psychological indoctrination and programming that happens at a very early age, particularly in the United States and the West more broadly, is that there's a kind of peace policing, right, where you can only resist in one way, and you know, it's in every fucking zombie TV show and film, except for the really good ones, which is like, oh, we're gonna become just like the zombies, or just like the people who are making the genocide town if we engage in armed resistance. What's gonna separate us from the people committing genocide? We're gonna become genocidaires ourselves. Who knows? It's a slippery slope, both sides. And I think, you know, there's a specific reason for why we are indoctrinated to feel that way. I think the most important one is that so we don't feel like it is a possibility for us to rise up with justified and righteous anger against our oppressors domestically. But also, I think probably equally as importantly, we can't provide material, but also kind of like verbal and ideological support for oppressed people rising up against their oppressors under the terms required for them to liberate themselves, right? Because if there is enough expression of solidarity, more than just protest, right? You know, no, hands off Iran, or you know, no war on Palestine, or eyes on Rafah, right? Those are a lot of those are neutral or negative statements, right? Where it's just we want it to stop, but there's no attempt to answer how, right? And I think it's really important to look back at protest movements like in Vietnam. We can debate the efficacy of or the actual impact of domestic protests, but to their credit, the SDS and other like on-campus protesters, they were fucking unequivocal about their support for not just, you know, the ending of the genocide of Vietnamese people and people in Laos and Cambodia. They were vocal supporters of the NLF and the right for Vietnamese people to protect their lands by any means necessary. And I think if we see that territory within ourselves, or you know, if we police ourselves to in order not to say that in mixed company and defend it unequivocally, then I think that's a really important terrain of struggle insofar as, like, you know, discursive resistance you know, into the discourse has any value. And if we can't hold that singular line and also constantly remind people of the principal contradiction whenever they try to what about, you know, the social, you know, or whatever reactionary elements within the resistance forces politics might exist, to constantly remind them of the principal contradiction, or to teach them even what the principal contradiction is, because a lot of people don't know, right? That what is primary, right? The most important and significant contradiction is the one that must be addressed first for all other issues to be resolved. Which is not to say that we don't, you know, try to move forward as, you know, as feminists and as, you know, to be pro-trans and you know, anti-racist, but it also, we can't let whatever internal contradictions might exist within the resistance to guide or condition our support for armed resistance to people who are resisting a genocide, right? And I feel like it's really important to also remind people, it's like this is racism right here, right? Like when people, what about that? Because they would never do this if it were just like Western white people resisting even a fraction
I
what
mean, look what
people
they
must say.
did. The New York Times, was it, or Washington Post, published like a full page spread, kind of like highlighting the incredible fortitude of people in Ukraine who were making their own Molotov cocktails against the Russian army, and like, look how they're doing this incredible thing, and aren't they so industrious? And
they invented that, don't you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Yeah.
and just the hypocrisy
Yeah.
that we're told which armed struggles we can support and which ones are taboo and should never be talked about. And
Right.
Palestinians, of course, have to do it silently and not offend the sensibilities or the emotions or the feelings of the Jewish occupiers, and they have to do it through diplomatic international fora, and they have to do it in a way that can be palatable to the rest of the world. Otherwise their resistance is not worthy of any support. And yeah, I mean, that's racism at the very core. Yeah.
And there's an entire social political economy to that.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't also come about in a vacuum.
Right.
It's a long-term project of that. Absolutely, racism is at its core, and white supremacist hierarchy, right?
Yes.
That creates that. But I think part of what both of you are saying is why it's important to disrupt at every turn. So when Mikey says, like, if we see that even internally to ourselves, even on a level of discourse, there's something that's actually happening. Like, this is not a small thing. We can sort of wave it away and be like, oh, but this is a small thing. Like, nobody knows I'm actually feeling that. But if we think about a larger social political economy in which our affect and our interiority are implicated, because it does actually do things, it disciplines us in particular ways. There is a carceral logic that comes to it that has a material impact. This is where anti-normalization in the context of Palestine is so helpful. Yeah. Because being anti and a non-normalizer means you disrupt every opportunity for the coherence of the viability of the state, the Zionist state. But that means every instantiation of a channel of its viability to happen. Which means relationally, economically, politically, you have to disrupt it. Normalization is not just, oh, I don't believe, it's important, by the way, to say this. No, I don't believe in the viability of the settler state. But what are all the other ways in which that possibility of the settler state to be a reality how can we disrupt that? And I think this is part of what you both are saying. So committing to supporting a resistance movement that is fighting for their liberation on those actual grounds, when we talk about it like that, it doesn't feel like this should not be a controversial statement.
Yeah.
But the reason why it is for all the reasons that we've been saying, is because this entire indoctrination, like you started off with, Mikey, makes it that.
Yeah. Quick tangent, circling back to what Nora mentioned here. This is what the US and NATO were trying to normalize in terms of like who we in the United States in particular should be throwing our support to, and what kind of slogans and solidarity we should be screaming from the rooftops.
Oh wait, Mikey, are you sharing a statement? Okay, so you're sharing something, right? Yeah. Okay,
there. Slava Ukraini. Like, a lot of people don't know that kind of like
it's a slogan. Nazi slogan.
It's a literal fucking Nazi slogan. It's a Ukrainian fascist white nationalist slogan. And it's actually like it's the first part of a two-part kind of call and response. Slava Ukraini is glory to Ukraine, and then Heroam Slava, glory to the heroes. And that was propagated. It originated from the OUNB, who collaborated with the Nazis in the Holocaust, like in actual, massacres.
They've named streets after some of the leaders of those collaborators. Yeah.
Like Stepan Bandera. It's crazy. So like if and thank God, like a lot of people are taking, the Ukrainian flags off their laptops and moving their bumper stickers. But I think it's another thing where it's like we should remind. I guess maybe in Hawaii I have less of a problem seeing that bullshit. But I think well, I think the guy who like recently threw a rock at a monk seal in Lahaina just a couple days ago was Ukrainian.
Really?
I think so, yeah. But well, he got his lickings, as we say
Good.
in Hawaii. Yeah, he got some street justice before he absconded to wherever he's actually from.
Either Ukraine or Israeli. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very Russian or Eastern European
both.
sounding
Both.
name.
Yeah. Multiple passports.
But yeah, back to what you were talking about, Lara. I think another tactic that I think is quite effective, which is something that has been mentioned before, is just music and song. And I don't want to get too corny about this. I can see it going in a really trite territory, so I want to be careful with how I frame this. But I don't think it's a mistake that, and I think this is kind of like under discussed or not noted as much as it could be, because there's so much other stuff going on in these Iranian Lego videos. But they're almost all songs, right? Songs with lyrics, right? And some of them are hip hop. Some of them are very much inspired by Top 40. Like what's cool like right now for Gen Z. And I think there are strategic reasons for that, right? They're appealing to Western audiences, so they're using kind of like Western art forms and Western musical conventions and themes and genres. But I think there's also something else to that, where this is like a way that we can teach others and ourselves resistance and resilience. I think it's also notable that like every revolutionary struggle has its songs, right?
There's been a soundtrack to the revolution. Exactly.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah, there's a soundtrack to every revolution, right?
That's right.
And also there's a soundtrack to every imperialist enterprise, right? To the point of cliche, right? Like Battle Hymn of the Republic and Harbu Darbu or whatever the fuck that song was, right? And so yeah, there is kind of like a musical terrain of struggle, right? And I think it's because, God, yeah, there's no way to not sound corny, but music communicates things and imparts things within us and forces us to make kind of emotional and spiritual connections to things that are otherwise abstract or hard for us to wrap our minds around. And I think for normies, like music really moves people in ways that a rhetorical debate or just laying out a bunch of facts or sending someone a link to a great essay is not going to do, right? I think, yeah, because I think Nora, you were talking about just struggling with having to compartmentalize between just being able to function in your daily life while also doing the important work that you do, reporting on some of the most difficult and traumatizing things every week. But I remember you also mentioning how like the first time you actually cried was Macklemore, right? When he put out that incredible song and the What Happened to Us moment, like where the music drops and then it's just a still of him.
Ooh, I still get goosebumps just thinking about that.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, there's something about music that I think plays an important role in kind of like keeping us committed to the struggle, but also moving us away from despair. Like
I don't think there's anything corny about that, Mikey. I find it so moving. And like you said, if you look at people in the trenches or people actually fighting, that has always been the case. And I know it's all over the world, but in the Arab world particularly, like there are revolutionary songs that we all know, that we all commit to, that we all sing. Like at the People's Conference for Palestine, that's what they play as part of the rally. And that is about affect, that is about connection, that is about rhythm, that is about a story that's a lot older than us. Right. And that's actually really moving. And for us to continue to be moved by things, to distill political wisdom and lessons and connection into a different register, right? And a register, by the way, that is meant to be erased, because part of what these fucking violent machines do is intrude on our ability to also remain creative.
That's right.
And romantic in our souls and connected to each other. So like, I'm all about if this is corny, I'm all about the corn.
Yeah. No, corniness is
Bring it
also
on.
important.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's why Nora wanted to sing a battle, song and the first time we did this.
Nice. I'm gonna sing
didn't, though.
Here's one recommendation too to folks in terms of like, if all of the intellectual arguments in your head aren't working, or even like, like Nora, you were mentioning like how even just like you can in your mind can understand all of the pieces that are on the board.
Yeah.
Support overwhelmingly more than ever before.
Right.
A massive, irreversible, or at least, declarative victory, the likes of which we have never seen, I think, in all of US history, at the very least, in West Asia. Yeah. A world historic defeat of the US military, a world historic withdrawal of the US military on the horizon. All of the pieces and all of the key players on the board are slowly, potentially rapidly accelerating towards that eventuality, where the entire economic arrangements of the world are already changing and going to be changed decisively, probably sometime within the next few years, if not within the next few months, right?
Yeah.
When all that doesn't work, because there's so many, just today, right? There was like a girl and her father in Lebanon who were triple tapped by the Israelis, right? And I think it's, even with all of the rational arguments in our head, that hits us in our soul, right? And it's hard not to despair when you're constantly bombarded with stories like that, particularly in Gaza. I would recommend, like, what works for me anyway, is like when the rational brain doesn't work anymore, I'll just sing a song, to yourself, or whatever kind of like moves you away from those feelings, whether it's dancing or, going for a walk or calling a friend. Just do that, especially if it's creative. Not that anything has to be productive to move you away from it, but I think it definitely helps me. And I think like I'm drawn to like some very depressing songs that actually bring me a lot of joy. Like like one of my favorite artists of all time is actually Elliott Smith, and his songs are miserable. Like he stabbed himself to death with a knife. Like that's the most hardcore suicide imaginable. But like Ballad of Big Nothing is one of my favorite songs, and it's so sad, and like some of the lyrics even are borderline nihilistic, but it's like it makes me happier than almost any song that I know to sing. It's not going to be the one I sing.
It's like a homeopathic, homeopathy is like,
that's not going to be what you sing today, is what
no.
But
it's like, a little bit of what's ailing you sometimes is the cure, and definitely sad music does that to me. Absolutely works.
There is one that I have been listening to on repeat that I'm asking Mikey to share if you can, because even though I'm, I've inherited Sina's problem of not knowing how to fucking screenshare or do shit. All right, let's do this. Okay.
I gotta say that. Yeah.
I love Arabic. I enjoy it.
استأصلوا جذورنا وهدموا بيوتنا وجرموا وجودنا وزيفوا أصولنا فرقوا أحبابنا وذبحوا أطفالنا واسترخصوا دماءنا وشيطنوا ثوارنا استأصلوا جذورنا وهدموا بيوتنا وجرموا وجودنا وزيفوا أصولنا رسولنا فرقوا أحبابنا وذبحوا أطفالنا واسترخصوا دماءنا وشيطنوا ثوارنا اسرقوا علومنا وجهلوا شعوبنا وعذبوا نفوسنا واستنكروا حقوقنا تعمروا بلادنا وعينوا حكامنا وانهبوا خيراتنا واحرقوا أشجارنا فمن تكون دوننا فمن يكون دوننا فمن تكون دوننا.
What a line, huh?
Wow.
Such
What
a
a
banger.
line.
Yeah.
Oh man, so good. And that went like, this is a Syrian rapper, right? But this went viral during kind of the 40-day part of the Ramadan war.
Mhm.
Yeah, just incredible. And yeah, like I think a
Amazing.
great
Who are you
example, like
without
where
us?
it's
Yeah.
where it's like there's a lot of really sad stuff there, right? And
Yeah.
Yes.
you know, there's naming every single type of atrocity that the colonizers have engaged
Yes.
in and are continuing to engage in. But it's such a powerful call to arms and like, yeah, just an assertion of this resilience.
Yes. And a
resistance.
reminder to refuse the psychic inversion, because you
Mhm.
motherfuckers would be nothing without it. Like, you actually need us. This is the Fanonian thing of like, it's the racist that creates the inferiorized. All
Mhm.
this shit you're doing, like, you are actually indebted to us. It's not the fucking other way around, right? So there's something so powerful and so powerful, obviously, in like naming that and reclaiming that as like, no, this is our power. And that's one thing you guys are never going to have because you're colonizers.
Yeah.
God, I love that.
There's another, okay, so there's a great song that we sing a lot in Hawaii at, you know, like a lot of protest actions, including on Mauna Kea back in 2019. And there's a particular lyric that really resonates with a lot of people. So I'll just try to fast forward to that part. And there's a great story behind this song. Wait, let's see. I just missed it. There it is. And yeah, oh gosh, yeah. So I was actually up there on Mauna Kea in 2019. This is 6,000 feet elevation above ocean floor. But there's this song. It's called Kolana Napua, famous are the flowers. But that particular lyric, in English, roughly translated, it's, we do not value the government's sums of money. We are satisfied with the stones, the astonishing food of the land. And the context, it's a powerful, it's a really powerful lyric on its own, and it's, you know, one that's oft repeated. But the author of the song, the one who composed it, loyal to Queen Liliuokalani, who that year in 1893 had been, you know, cooed at gunpoint, right, by the U.S. Navy and by, you know, these capitalist colonizers. And the Royal Hawaiian Band, under this new illegitimate territorial government, as government workers, they were forced to rename their band, basically. And also, in order to stay on the government payroll, they had to sign loyalty oaths to the colonizers and to disavow the queen's right, you know, to rule over her with her people, and to promise that they would never rise up to try to restore her claim to the throne. And so
they're so fragile. They're always so fragile.
But the band leader was actually on loan to the Hawaiian Kingdom from Kaiser Wilhelm. So this, you know, this Austrian band leader, you know, like in the middle of a concert, like he thrusts the loyalty pledge in, you know, in the faces of all of the members of the Royal Hawaiian Band. And it's like, sign this loyalty pledge, and they refuse. And he says, if you don't, you guys are gonna be reduced to eating rocks. And so they walked away. And so, you know, they were walking back home with all their instruments, and then the author of the song, Ellen Wright Prendergast, she beckons them over. She's playing her ukulele on her porch, and she asks them what happened, and they told her, you know, we would rather eat stones than to accept the money of the illegitimate ruler. And that's how that song came about. So yeah, and it's been a you know, a powerful
awesome.
Resistance song ever since.
That's amazing.
I love that.
Amazing. That's amazing.
I put a song in our private chat Maybe
Yes.
Mikey, you can play this one.
Yeah.
Thank
This
you,
one-
Mikey. You're
yeah,
our
thank
DJ
you.
too.
Yeah,
Not
that's
only did you just
fantastic.
like join, but thank you so much.
I do KJ a lot.
I love it.
I miss you a lot, really. Today there's a
Oh.
lot of drones.
Oh,
moving.
this one kills me every time.
Yes.
Some today with drone. شيل شيل يا جمالي شيل يا حوضتك بالله دم الشهيد معطر بالهيل ليل يا ليلو ويل ويل عالظالمي ويل ويل من الله لا أسهر على نجوم الليل أنا ناديله شيل شيل يا جمالي شيل يا حوضتك بالله دم الشهيد معطر بالهيل ليل يا ليلو ويل ويل عالظالمي ويل ويل من الله لا أسهر على نجوم الليل أنا ناديله شيل شيل يا جمالي شيل يا حوضتك بالله دم الشهيد معطر بالليل يا ليل ويل ويل عالظالمي ويل ويل من الله لا أسهر على نجوم الليل أنا ناديله شيل شيل يا جمالي شيل يا حوضتك بالله دم الشهيد معطر بالليل يا ليل ويل ويل عالظالمي ويل ويل من الله لا أسهر على نجوم الليل أنا ناديله.
I mean,
Allah, Allah.
and that it exploded all over the world. People from different musical traditions were playing their own versions, accompanying that video, and Ahmed Moin Abu Amsha and his students. It went completely viral, and it was just such a what an act of reclamation, like these horrifying fucking drones that have not stopped, not just over the last 2.5 years, but
That's
have
right.
been over the skies of Gaza since the siege began in 2007. Constant drones, constantly. And the Israelis are so sadistic, right? They program the different drones that are everywhere to have like slightly dissonant notes. So one has an A, the other one has like somewhere between an A and A flat. And so it just makes you it's supposed to make you psychologically tortured. And so with this one drone, he took it and he reclaimed it, and he turned it into an instrument. It's just like that
Yes.
like not allowing the torture of this thing to have any more power, and to instead turn it into an object that he could control himself.
Right. But it's like Tawafan al-Aqsa, like
Love it.
in real time, you see things alchemize and transform into something that a colonizer cannot attune to.
Yeah.
Right. Because they can't actually see that anything else is possible. The drone is meant to kill, and the drone does kill. I want to say
Yes,
that the drone
course.
does kill. And also, what can it be transformed into if you're putting it in service and pressurizing it towards defiance? Like that's the fucking thing. It's defiance, which is part of the asymmetrical warfare that Mikey was talking. Like all of this is part of asymmetrical warfare.
Yes. Yeah, that's musical guerrilla warfare right
Yeah.
there, right?
Yeah.
It's this is not to get all Marxy, but like this is the
Please.
interpenetration of opposites, right? This is the unity of opposites.
We have to.
That's
We
right.
have to here. I mean,
Yeah,
we're part of the
and-
Tankyverse, right?
That's right.
Yeah. But in the same way that groups like Al Qassam or the IRGC, right? They will take unexploded ordnance from the colonizer, reverse engineer it, or repurpose the explosive material to then deploy against the very people who fired it, right?
Yeah.
And I think
Return to sender operations, as Elmer would say.
exactly. Yeah, that was a return to sender where it's like, I mean, it's just so beautiful. Like I choked up watching it again just now. Like, just the fact that they converted that kind of like oral terrorism into a tone that almost like evaporates by the time all the harmonies come in.
Yeah.
You don't even like it, just seems like part of the accompaniment now, like
That's
a
right.
base layer of the track. Like, just so beautiful, so powerful.
I love that.
Yeah. God.
Ugh.
And this is what, and we're doing it in real time, right? Like this is part of it. We can sort of be, this is how this musical ensemble came together, right? Or this offshoot or of Tanky Group Therapy, like the musical happened.
I love that. I'm here for that.
Right? TGT the musical. Maybe that's what this miniseries should be called. But no, it's part of it. It's like all of us have that, and we share these things in our chat, and we're just like, you know, we talk about these things that move us. And so this is not an indulgence. This is like, what does it mean to add to the arsenal of our own resistance, our ability to remain aligned, our ability to remain clear-minded, our ability to not fall into despair, even when we feel it. Like, it's okay. Again, don't collapse into shame. Mikey's being like, do this, right? Like, try this. Or Nora, what you said, like, reach out or say, I banish you. Thought, and I'm gonna read Basil al-Araj instead. Like there are possibilities. I think that's the thing. Like when we're working with foreclosures, when we feel conscripted, when we feel constricted, that's also a telling sign. Like there's nothing that doesn't, when we feel that there aren't possibilities that can come out of emergence or movement, I think that's a telling sign that there's something of power working on us and settling inside of us, because foreclosures are the ways that power actually works. It's to make us feel entirely locked in. And I think all of these examples of these songs, certainly, but also Tawafan al-Aqsa, or what the Iranian resistance is doing, or what Lebanese resistance is doing, is showing us that even in the most dire conditions that sell themselves as complete enclosures, there are ways to disrupt that. And there are ways to innovate and be creative and move past that, and be, as Basil al-Araj says, salik, right? Is like an inventive and bandits and do what you need to do.
Yeah, poke holes. Million little holes. Yeah, that's it.
Exactly. So are we ready in like our final? Like there's 8 minutes here. We have more time. We will have a chance to come back and like, what else do we want to say and do? Also, if folks want to, can I say, Nora and I had said this before, Mikey, I haven't run this by you, so you have veto powers, but I know you have a song you want to sing, but if folks have a request, also put it in. I can't promise you that we will get to it today, but this might also be a way to join in. Part of what we're saying is like, are there like resistance songs or songs that like?
Yes,
I love that.
Absolutely. I'll be happy to take requests after Nora goes. I'm
completely unprepared.
I mean, you can see my handle, my social media handle. Karaoke is my passion. More than organizing or filmmaking combined, it's very important to me. And my Spotify karaoke playlist has over 37 hours of songs on it.
Oh my god.
That's my standby. So I mean, my favorite artists are Sam Cooke, Fiona Apple, and Elliott Smith.
I did a Fiona Apple song at a karaoke.
Really?
Yeah,
Which
a
one?
couple of weeks ago. I did Slow Like Honey, just to bring down the mood all the way down to the floor.
Sometimes you gotta bring down the vibe.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
So what are you gonna do for us today, Mikey?
Oh, but I'm not ready yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought Nora was gonna sing first.
No, surprise.
Nora decided that you would lead the way, and she's gonna join with you.
Oh, okay.
I'm good at harmonies.
But he said, return of Mac.
Yeah. I'm gonna do a sad song, but another song that makes me very happy.
Second.
Return of the Mac.
No,
you know that I'll be back.
There you go.
There we go. Okay. You ready?
Oh boy.
Yalla.
You know this, Nora?
No, but I probably have heard it before. So I'll do my best.
Oh man. Oh boy. Okay. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. The only girl I've ever loved was born with roses in her eyes, but then they buried her alive one evening, 1945, with just a sister at her side. And only weeks before they're done, dark came and rained on everyone. Now she's a little boy in Spain, playing pianos filled with flames on empty rings around the sun, all sing to say our dream has come. But now we must pack up every piece of the life we used to love, just to keep ourselves at least enough to carry on. And now we ride this circus wheel with your dark brother in one. Says it was good to be alive, but now we ride our comet's flame and won't be coming back again. The earth looks better from the stars, it's right above from where you are. He didn't mean to make you cry, with sparks that ring and bullets fly on empty rings around your heart. The world just screams and falls apart. But now we must pack up every piece of the life we used to love, just to keep ourselves at least enough to carry on. And here's where your mother sleeps, and here is the room where your brothers were born. Indentions in the sheets where their bodies once moved but don't move anymore. And it's so sad to see the world agree that they'd rather see their faces filled with lies. Oh, when I'd want to keep white roses in their eyes. Oh.
Oh my God, I had no idea, Mikey.
Yes! Wow. Mikey, most people's handles are aspirational. Or like they're just like, oh, I like this thing. And like, so that's what I've been assuming. And then you just come on with a belt like that.
You have a voice. Listen to you.
Wow.
So we're gonna delete this video after, right?
Never.
No, we just
That
made a
was so
franchise.
good.
I'm sorry, we just made a fucking Tanky Group Therapy franchise.
Oh.
You-
I love that. I love that for us. That was
Wow.
remarkable.
Wow.
Such a
wow.
treat.
Now, okay, but really, Mikey, now no other comrade is gonna come on because they're
Yeah,
just
that's it.
like, no, we
you
can't
won.
do this.
I hope someday we
are
can actually like hang out in person and
Oh,
karaoke together.
God,
'cause
yes,
we gotta
that would be a
please.
dream.
That would be a dream.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's amazing. Maybe for next time I will take, so there was a Loki. Loki's a good one. That I could
Loki,
probably
yes.
sing like by heart, all of
He's-
Loki's
He
songs.
raps
So
so fast though.
maybe that, yeah. Yeah, but the voice of the
invite
voice
Loki on.
is something like
Yeah,
that,
that's
right?
true.
Oh yeah, invite him on.
That would be amazing.
Sing with us. Oh, maybe we'll work on that.
Yes.
Okay. But maybe you've given me an idea too, is that next time if folks can like submit requests, we can't promise we can get to them, but maybe we can. Wow, that was amazing. I'm like on an adrenaline high.
And
How
so,
are you
yeah, I
feeling,
mean,
Mikey?
well, you know, it's a song that I've been thinking about a lot. I mean, you know, like In the Aeroplane Over the Sea by Neutral Milk Hotel, objectively like a perfect album, all bangers, no stinkers. It's really, really beautifully written, and it's funny because so Jeff Mangum, he's a very like reclusive guy, and kind of like you know, strange dude, and he read the Diary of Anne Frank, and the entire album is inspired by that. you know,
I didn't know that.
Wow.
Yeah, and so it's, you know, it's kind of about, you know, this girl kind of navigating, you know, her first, you know, experiences with love and confusing sexual feelings, while also enduring a Holocaust, you know.
Wow.
And yeah, so the whole album has all of these like powerful images that they're just so incredible that blend in kind of like land and sex and politics, and throughout all of it there's just this genocide that's just under the
Okay.
current through a lot of it. And Holland 1945 is the most explicit about it. And I think just, you know, that the closing lyric to me is what really constantly reminds me of Gaza. You know, like it's so sad to see the world agree that they'd rather see their faces filled with flies when all I want to keep white roses in their eyes. And I think like that yeah, I mean, that reminds me about Gaza so much. And like, yeah, like what the other side is just so dead set and determined to do is I think to some extent they have recognized that they have ceded entirely their humanity and any chance of getting it back. I'm talking about Israelis in particular, but not exclusively. And I think now that they understand that like victory is kind of out of grasp, to avoid despair, because, you know, they're basically in their kind of Javert moment, right? Where it's like, well, if I'm not winning this, if I haven't won this moral battle, then what am I, and why am I still fucking even alive, right? And I think the only alternative is to ensure that everyone else is forced to see their humanity as well.
It's an irreconcilable position.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think the liberal argument gets into this trap of, it's like, oh, they want us to lose our humanity, so we can't take any kind of pleasure in resistance videos showing their victories, right? And extinguishing these fucking little Hitlers, right? Because that would be sadistic and it would make it just like them. When to me, I think we need to reframe that as in, we're celebrating it because there's one less fucking fascist who's going to kill children and who has to, or just simply electively delights in taking pleasure in the rape and murder of the children of those lands. And by children, I mean both young and old, right? And I think what I also love about this song and about resistance songs in particular is, it has all of this open room for mourning, but there's this raucous, you know,
it's joyful
band. Yeah, there's so much joy in it, and you know, all of these kind of like little intimate moments where it is celebrating life, and what it's really mourning is children being deprived of the right just to live, right? And to see, you know, joy in their eyes, and I think that's what we have to constantly remind ourselves is what we're fighting for, and what, like, why unequivocal for resistance, unequivocal support for resistance and for the resistance access in particular is so vital. And I think the best rhetorical kind of move we can make when someone tries to engage in whataboutism there is maybe just to show them videos that feature like resistance fighters vocalizing what they're doing it for. I think in particular, so like two videos in my mind really stand out, and I'll close with these kind of two images that are just kind of like indelibly, you know, imprinted on my brain. One is you know, a Hamas fighter. He's on like a second floor, and he fires an RPG at a Merkava, and even through the vocal distortion, you hear him sobbing, you know, of saying, you know, this is for the children and the women of Gaza, you know, and just like, you know, just like a warrior poet, like who he's taking joy in it because of all the people he's lost, you know, all the people in his family. And so, like, you know, what right do we have to make any kind of judgment or put any kind of conditions on solidarity with that person, right? And another one was just pretty early on, which was something that I showed a lot of people, that really like moved a lot of people, where I didn't really have to make any other arguments, is when there's a bunch of like basically tents held up by like corrugated metal, a displacement village basically in Gaza, and there was a D9 bulldozer that you could hear and see the top outline of approaching the center frame of the camera, of the POV of the resistance fighter, and he fires an RPG directly at it right as it passes through the last line of those homes, right? And it directly enters into that bulldozer's cockpit, and so that person's dead. And I think, like, what can we do but celebrate that action and that person, right? They're literally killing someone who is bulldozing over homes where people, especially people who are not mobile, might still be in them, right? And I think, like, if you can root for Ewoks, you can root for the real people who are engaging in this type of struggle, defending their homes. And so I think that and yeah, keeping music in our hearts is what I think will maintain us through all of these next stages in the struggle.
I love you, Mikey. You're the best.
Seriously.
Oh, God.
Seriously. Exactly. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
Right. We did the right thing, Nora. Like, Mikey coming on, like, we knew it.
Perfect.
We were just like, Mikey's got to be it. We got to bring him on. Folks, now he's also now told on himself about how talented he is.
Seriously.
But
With
also,
pipes.
folks, this isn't just, pipes with nothing. It's just like political fucking analysis laid down over top of the soundtrack to the revolution, which is like, that's unbelievable. Nora, any final thoughts you have for today, processing what this was like? Did it do what we wanted it to do?
It did. Yeah. I'm now gonna really take to heart what we talked about in terms of those micro steps, and also and kind of debilitating those intrusive thoughts, and naming them as like the intention of the occupiers and the colonizers. That's what they're there for. That's who has constructed them. And I think any time that I or you or any of us feel rightly, that this kind of paralyzing grief in those times, to not let despair be the final emotion.
Don't let it have the final say.
Don't let it have the final say. And I think, having tools at our disposal, whether it is music, whether it is, reading something that you've read before that always lifts you, going outside, literally touching grass. I know it's such a like trope, but it really does help to be in nature and to be in the sunshine, and picking up the phone and calling a friend. I think we all have these tools, and we have each other. And I'm just so grateful to be reminded and to have the opportunity to walk through in real time. I think it's a really important exercise. And so thank you for that, of course.
So important. And the repetition, folks, is not a failure. It's like built in, right? And this is, I mean, let's continue with the corn. It's like the repetition.
Yes.
Music is that's part of it, right? Yeah. So like, lean into it. Don't despair that you're repeating. We're back there because we need to be back there. And the struggle is part of this. And this is why we're doing this as well. I love you both so much. Thank you for doing this with me, for us. Mikey, somebody asked for a classic sign off. Sign off.
Yeah.
So we'll end with that.
Death to America.
The best
Thank
one.
you, everybody. Like, share, subscribe to our other comrades as well. Their shows, follow what we're doing. There's a lot of cool stuff coming up, and we will do this again very soon, and let you know. يلا المقاومة
Amazing.
مستمرة.